Hello, dear listeners. I am delighted to announce that the wine season of the Four Top you are listening to right now was brought to you exclusively by, drumroll please, Erath Winery. I had the opportunity to sit down and chat with the third ever head winemaker in Erath's 50-year history. That's Leah Adent, and she is a delight to speak with. So I'm excited to share that interview with you. I'm really excited to chat with her about all sorts of wonderful things, including Erath wines, which we will be tasting this whole season together. So please tune in and get to know Leah while I do, and please sip along with us. You can purchase the 3 wines we will be talking about this season at a special 15% discount, and it is just a terrific deal for historic Willamette Valley wines. So get on over to erath.com/the4top and smash that purchase button. You can use the promo code 4top through December 31st, 2022 to get those 3 wines at a special 15% discount, and you can also purchase additional wines at that discount if you want to. So thank you, Erath, and now time for the show.
There's a classic joke about what you call a group of chess enthusiasts that are bragging about their game in a library lobby, and it goes something like they're chess nuts boasting in an open foyer. And I was thinking about how much of a resource TikTok has been for some dads who've become like celebrity dad joke tellers. There's like groups of dad punsters that, you know, I get some of my material from, and it just occurred to me that you can turn that around and say, what do you call a group of TikTok dad jokesters bragging about their game?
What do you call them?
I would say that they're a group of jest nuts boasting in an open foyer.
And with that, everyone, hello and welcome to the Four Top. It's a roundtable discussion of today's hot button topics in the wine and food world. I am your host, Catherine Cole.
And I am your co-host, Martin Reyes, Master of Wine. And on this episode, we are going to talk about the social media platform that is not taking the wine industry by storm, TikTok.
That's right. It's not taking the wine industry by storm yet, but we will talk about that on this episode. And Martina, you know, you just said you've been lurking on TikTok looking for joke ideas, but I haven't seen your name on TikTok. I haven't found your handle unless you're in an anonymous account somewhere. So why aren't you using the favorite platform of the youths?
Look, I confess that I have reluctance of social media baked into my DNA. And I've really I was late to Facebook, and I was somewhat late to Instagram. That's the only place I've really done anything of consequence. And TikTok feeds into Instagram for me, so I may have access to TikTok content that feeds into this, but I myself haven't really had a reason. And I've been pondering that because now that I learned a little bit more about what our subject matter is, and both Isis and Amanda will be able to tell us, I can see, for instance, an idea of creating, some sustainable SOM content that, might live there eventually. But as far as
about sustainability, not sustaining SOMs.
Not maybe both, right? Yes, so the term of sustainability, the topic, and sommelier content, and ultimately, Catherine, that as far as the nuts and bolts, I mean, there's a lot of investment of time. If you're going to get into TikTok, it's almost like if you're the host and you're also the videographer and the content creator, I mean, maybe I'll join someday, but as far as content creation and polished videos or whatever that is, like, it's not my forte. So, I got a couple of businesses to run that have nothing to do with social media. And maybe if I had more time, or maybe if I work with somebody on a collaboration, I can see it. But I know it's a huge investment. Do it right. You got to get into it. And I'll leave that to the pros.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear from our pros today. And I must admit, I do have an account and I have played around with it,
Oh, cool.
but it takes me forever to make a very poorly produced video. The one I put up last night, it's about sparkling Pinot Gouge because I'm a nerd, took me forever to edit together. I just couldn't get it to work. It was so complicated. So
You wanted to googe your eyes out?
I really did want to gouge my eyes out. So I can't wait to hear about how to make this work, and I'm guessing they put a lot of time into this.
Reference them a little bit, and a lot of people know who they are, who can answer a lot of our TikTok questions. They are total pros. I've known Amanda McCrossan as the wine director at Press Restaurant years ago in Napa Valley, before she became the professional social media creator that she is today. She is a well-respected, well-regarded, certified sommelier, a wine personality, and her own podcast host as well. Her handle on TikTok and other platforms is Somme Vivant. And as a lover of wordsmithing, I think that's one of the best names out there today in the wine world.
Yeah. Well, and I can't wait to hear from Isis Daniel, also known by the handle Millennial Somm. Isis is a wine consultant and wine content creator based in Washington, D.C. And I have to say, I can't wait to speak with Isis because she is just so funny. She brings a lot of theater and humor to her TikTok feed, and it's very educational, but also just very entertaining.
Yeah, so Isis and Amanda, welcome to the Four Top podcast.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
Let's get this conversation started because, Catherine and I laugh when I think about this. We clearly have a lot to learn from both of you. TikTok is on its way to become the most popular app in the world and the most downloaded app in the US. But for most of us in the wine industry, we don't really know much about it. Isis, maybe you can start off by telling us about what TikTok content is.
I mean, TikTok is just like every other content if you really think about it. However, the heart of it, what separates it from other platforms, is that you're able to create 15-second to about 3 minutes, maybe even 10-minute long videos where you're really sharing your talents, your expertise, or maybe just having fun with your group, your people. So it's all about creating fun videos for other people who are able to join in on the fun or join in on any conversation.
So many questions. Wait, you said up to 10 minutes? Are there 10-minute TikTok videos?
Believe it or not, yes. However, you don't see it very often because we don't have the attention span to hold on that long.
I know I don't.
It's interesting. TikTok is really trying to take some of the market share away from YouTube. And so a few months ago, they allowed content creators to start uploading videos up to 10 minutes in length. And I think part of the impetus for that was to allow for ads to potentially be inserted at some point. So to start getting people familiar with longer form content that lives in TikTok that's not these 10 to 15-second videos, because they really are trying to pull both from Instagram and YouTube now.
Okay, now my next basic question is, how is the content presented? Because there's something called For You suggestions, and then it seems like when I open TikTok, I'm not seeing my kids, which is really all I want to see. I'm seeing these random strangers. So how is the content presented to us as users?
The For You page is kind of everything to a content creator. I mean, and this is really where the key to the algorithm is unlocked, in that the For You page is very different from Instagram, in that where Instagram, you're searching for creators, you're searching for different Instagrammers to follow. The algorithm on TikTok is very, very powerful in that it will basically create an avatar for you based on your interests, based on things that you've liked. God only knows what other information they have. I don't think we have the time or or energy to get into that today, but somehow they figure out exactly what kind of content you personally, Catherine Cole and Martine, will want to watch. And so the For You page is basically this never-ending sea of videos that are presented to you that are curated by the TikTok algorithm to be specific to your interests and things that they think you might want to enjoy.
Aha. That makes sense. Yes. So Isis, how do you drive people to your videos, let's say?
Well, When it comes to social media, I think I approach it in a different way. So I think Amanda might answer this question slightly different than I do. But when it comes to any type of content creation, whether it's on TikTok, Instagram, any place, I just try to create anything that I want to, right? So I pay attention to whatever I'm studying, whatever I'm reading, and I just try to share that information to my followers because they find me and they're interested in fun, organic, authentic information about wine. They just kind of find me based off of watching other wine content or watching any videos that just make them laugh. So I'm not sure how TikTok does it and how people typically find me, but my content is pretty consistent as far as being entertaining and always coming with wine information.
Yeah, I mean, I'll second that. I think your content definitely it's fun, it's entertaining. There's a familiarity to it in that it feels like, and I don't mean this in a bad way because I think it's one of your strengths. I think it pulls from other sectors that are doing TikTok really well, and that you make things that are a little bit more situational. I think you just make it very fun, very approachable, and you change up your camera shots a lot, which I do as well. And so I think there's definitely a game to be played on TikTok in terms of getting people to not only find your content, but to stay with your content. And as Isis alluded to earlier, the key is getting people to continue to watch, which is really hard. So how do we get people to not only buy into this wine content, but get them to stay and continue watching? And so the way that we do that is we sort of trick their attention spans into thinking maybe this is a slightly, if we change an angle, we make it very energetic, we zoom in, we zoom out. And so there's little tricks that you can do within TikTok and other platforms that make it so that people actually want to stay and watch this content. But, at the core of it, you have to make it contextual and relatable. That's one of the things that I've really kind of had a good time trying to figure out is like, all right, well, if we want to learn about the DOCG laws of Italy, like how do we make it relevant to someone that isn't going to give a shit? Like why would someone care about, seeing DOCG on a label, and how can we make that relevant to their own lives?
Right. And then also even paying attention to the comments. Once you start putting out videos and start gaining that following, people will tell you what they're interested in learning about. So if you listen to your people, you don't have to worry about changing your voice or trying to appeal in a different way. You can always be yourself, but you can also pay attention to your followers' needs.
One of the key things is that you can reply to comments with videos on TikTok. And so I think that really helps the algorithm to really dial in who your audience is and what they want to watch.
I imagine that things like humor is pretty important.
It is to me.
I think humor is hugely important, especially in the wine industry that tends to not have very much of it.
Oh my gosh, the wine industry kills me. I think that's why I love TikTok so much. Oh my gosh, because I'm not that kind of girl. I joke all the time. I'm not a serious person. I don't want to be. And when it comes to wine, I think most wine spaces are so serious. And I don't know, I'm a creative person naturally, so my mind can go a million miles per hour. I need you to capture my attention, but I want to stay. And if you make me laugh, I will be there for a while.
I've heard rumors that you have an alter ego. Suzanne, tell us about her.
Oh, Miss Suzanne, the wine snob. Yes. So she is my great friend, Miss Suzanne, beautiful, platinum wig, fur. She's a very wealthy lady. But she's just a character that I created, I think, back in 2021, I think January 2021. But I wanted to create a character of someone that I actually had an opportunity to serve when I was in the service industry, working at a wine bar, when I knew a little bit about wine, level 2, trying to kind of figure out what I'm doing. But I felt that creating a personality that, number one, everyone can relate to. We all know a wine snob. Do we all know a wine snob? Talk to me.
Sure do. I know several.
Okay. And they always make us laugh because wine is never that serious. And oftentimes the information that wine snobs will say is actually incorrect. So I decided to create a video that I didn't know was going to go viral. I think it was cork taint, where, smelling the cork and understanding just what that actually means and why we do it. I created a video using Suzanne, the wine snob, just, being wrong as usual and correcting her in a loving, compassionate way. But because she is so crazy, of course, there's some humor in just how she responds and all of that. But I want to create a safe space for people to learn, and also for wine snobs to just come back. Just come back to us. It's okay. You're safe. So yeah, Suzanne, the wine snob, she's just, and what her name is, she's a snob.
And Amanda, I've seen you do that, playing both the somm or the wine director as well as the person ordering the wine. But I have to ask both of you, I think one of you mentioned getting different camera shots, different angles. How much work does it take to film yourself as two different parts? I mean, not only are you having to do the filming, but then I'm seeing that you do costume changes, particularly with Miss Suzanne. She has a definite look, makeup changes. I mean, that must take forever. Tell me about your process.
People have no idea what goes on, especially wine brands that come to me and they want to work with me. I'm like, you have to understand. This is a whole thing, especially because I have another personality. I have Chardonnay, the wine influencer. Chardonnay, who does not like Chardonnay, by the way. But it's, it's writing the script, practicing, making sure, because I try to keep my videos under a minute and a half if I can. So practicing that, makeup. I have huge hair. So in order to do any personalities, I have to wash my hair, braid it, put it in a wig cap, like we were talking about earlier. Come on, wig cap, shout out. And then, I have my costumes, record, edit. Sometimes I have to re-record if I'm acting. So it's all about personality. It's about drawing people in and truly becoming these characters. But when you are trying to create a video that's under a minute and 30 seconds while trying to fit a whole lot of information in, sometimes you have to go back and re-record so that it all flows how it's supposed to, right? So for me, the process is usually an all-day affair. I don't check emails. I don't go out. I stay in and just work when it comes to doing any Suzanne or Chardonnay videos.
Amanda, I hear you laughing knowledgeably.
Well, yeah. I'm laughing because I think, to Isis's point, like, it takes so much longer than people realize. You see a 1 minute video come out, a 3 minute video come out, and you're like, oh, I could do that. And then the reality is, you're right. I mean, you sit down, you script it, you try to figure out what the information is that needs to be presented, and then you have to figure out how to present it in a way where people will actually care and watch. And so there's a lot behind the scenes that happens that we maybe don't realize. And like, I didn't even realize until I sat down and did it. I used to do a lot of YouTube videos where I could be very off the cuff and I would, have all the time in the world, because YouTube is very much a long form content platform. But on TikTok, you really have to be cognizant of the fact that people's attention spans are short. And you are competing not only against other wine videos, but you're competing against beauty. You're competing against a funny dog video. You're competing against a lot of other things that are not even in the space. So you really have to be very specific about exactly what you want to say and how you want to present it. And so a lot of that happens in scripting, but then so much of it happens in post when you're sitting there on the app or whatever editing platform you use to kind of figure out how these puzzle pieces fit together and how to make them concise and interesting. And then you have to go back and put all the titles in and the captions in, and like, it's a whole, and you pray that the app doesn't crash while you're doing it. So it's a whole thing.
The thing is it stressful? It can be, depending on what the video is, right? Yeah. But at the same time, I mean, I enjoy it. As much as I complain, it takes forever. Yes, it does. The truth is, I love it. I love acting. I love putting on the wigs and the makeup. And even the editing part, I laugh when I create my videos. That's one of the main ways I'm able to know if I truly stand behind the content that I'm creating. Do I enjoy watching the finished product? So, I mean, it's worth it.
But you are at the mercy of the algorithm. So like, you can try your hardest and put 10 hours into a video, but the reality is I have very little control as to how many people are going to see that. That's all really decided by the TikTok algorithm. And that's, that's the heartbreak of sometimes, it works out great and you get hundreds of thousands of views and you're like, wow, that's amazing. Like, I had no idea so many people were going to care about that. And then you put a ton of work into another one. You're like, literally, like, so much work for no reward. But that's the downside of working off of a platform that you have no control over, like TikTok.
And that's why you can't care. And I say that lighthearted because, of course we put in the energy because we want people to see our content. We're not just working for no reason after saying all the work that goes into it. But the truth is, your content will always find the people that it's meant to find. I try to keep that kind of positivity so that you don't get burnt out, right?
Yeah.
But then also there are other ways that you can promote it. That's why, kind of going on other platforms and saying, hey, I have a new video that we just posted, or going on TikTok Live, where you have so many people that will come and discover you and saying, hey, there's a new video out and whatever else. There are other ways to push it so that you can ensure that people are seeing your content. But don't get hung up on numbers, because I have plenty of videos that I put out, no one saw. Next thing you know, I have a different video that boomed. And then because of that boom, people go back and they're looking through all your old videos. And now that one video that you put so much time in, it will go viral after the fact.
Yeah. So that's a really interesting point that you make that I think separates TikTok from Instagram, is that TikTok very much has a long tail versus Instagram, in that, like, a long tail meaning it has a long shelf life. It can spike at any time. It can have a long run of views. Instagram is kind of that, like, you basically have that 24 to 48 hour window to really hit it. And then it kind of dies after that. Like, occasionally every now and then you might have something spike, but it is very much like YouTube, where if the right audience ends up finding your content and the content is good, then a lot of times that video will resurface and have a longer shelf life than something like Instagram. And that's sort of what's been very appealing for me, is the long tail of TikTok. And then also you have the searchability of TikTok. I think it's a very discoverable platform in the way that YouTube is, and that you can search how-to videos, you can search vacation videos, you can search for different things that you might be looking for, and almost treat it more like Google. In fact, I was in Sonoma last week and I was sitting at a bar, and this couple came up to me and they're like, oh my gosh, we searched Napa Valley and Sonoma and we found all your videos and you helped us plan our trip, and we really treated TikTok like it was our own personal, like, Google search. And I thought that was a really interesting thing, because I personally have not been doing that, but I'm hearing more and more people use it as a place where they go to discover and learn and to plan trips. And so I think, to Isis's point, like, you can have videos spike later on because, people are searching a particular thing.
I can see the appeal of this becoming educational. Yeah, I see that.
Totally. Yeah, and I was going to say, it seems like the content I'm seeing on TikTok is mostly educational, and that's probably where I went wrong talking about Pinot Gouge. And then another place where I think I maybe went wrong is, you mentioned cross promoting. I just took my TikTok and I posted it as a reel on Instagram. Did I commit a crime by doing that? Is that not what you're supposed to do?
You can absolutely do that. I mean,
you can absolutely do it. Instagram hates it. I mean, they don't want to see that watermark on the TikTok video. So the thing you have to do is use a third-party app and download it and get rid of that, or you can re-edit it, or, if you're filming outside of the TikTok platform. But yeah, I mean, you're not committing a crime. It's just Instagram sort of allegedly penalizes you for putting a TikTok watermarked video.
Instagram
Instacrime.
It is totally their fault.
This is something that I don't think Instagram, or maybe they do recognize. With them creating Reels, I think that they actually created a direct avenue to drive more people to TikTok, because 100%. A lot of people who were, I'm going to say, the seasoned millennials, right? Because I am at the end of our group. Okay. Mm-hmm. And, a lot of people who are in their mid 30s and up weren't interested in going to TikTok. Now more people are going because Instagram and Facebook created a platform that looks like TikTok. Is that the experience is very similar to TikTok, and people are saying, let me try it out. And now they're going to it. I think Reels was probably one of the worst decisions Instagram could have made. And that's just my opinion. And I'm sticking
real
by
talk
it.
right there.
That is real talk. Well, let's take a short break. And then I want to follow up on what you were saying, Isis, about demographics. Hey listeners, please join me in extending a heartfelt thank you to Erath Winery for sponsoring this entire wine season of the Four Top. Erath was founded more than 5 decades ago in 1968. I am so delighted to be able to chat today with Leah Adent, who is just the 3rd head winemaker in the history of this renowned Oregon winery, following the retirement of longtime winemaker Gary Horner. Leah, it's so good to meet you. How does it feel to be running the cellar for this truly distinguished Willamette Valley winery?
It's a big question. I honestly didn't think about the history and the legend of Erath Winery when it was time to move to the Willamette Valley. It was a next great winemaking opportunity and a chance to come back to Pinot and be in such a beautiful place that's those are the initial reasons why I jumped on it. And then I got here and started doing promotional work and getting like, oh, you're the third winemaker in the Erath history. What's that like? I'm like, oh, those are big shoes to fill. That's a big title. So I try not to think about that too much, but the history is incredible. It speaks for itself. To listen to Dick's stories, and I've had a chance to meet him a couple of times, and he's still out there telling the stories of finding his way through cherry orchards and hazelnuts, thinking, I can grow grapes here, it's really incredible. I don't know, I just try and kind of forget about that when I'm in the cellar and just make wine.
And Dick Erath, of course, is the founder of the winery.
Yes.
And I'm curious, what do you admire about the winemaking scene in Oregon? I know you've made wine all over the world. And how does it differ from other places where you've made wine?
I think people still have a real small-scale focus in the Willamette Valley, which is nice. People think of the land first, and I think that's a really Oregon mentality, not just the Willamette Valley, to be sustainable, to be environmentally safe and sound, and have that as your top priority rather than sales or promotion or all of these other things that are part of a business. But, every grower I work with wants to do the right thing. And that might mean it costs a little bit extra to grow that Pinot Noir. But that's one of the reasons I love the Willamette Valley.
Me too. I love the ethos here. Well, hey, you know what? As long as we're chatting, let's taste some wine.
Let's taste some wine.
I understand we have the Quail Run Pinot Blanc from 2019. Is
yes,
that right?
We
do you want to tell us about this?
Absolutely. So this actually, surprisingly enough, comes from the Rogue Valley. So a very different environment than the Willamette. And these are really old vines. They're at least 30 years old. And so they're big trunks, big tree-like vines, which is kind of cool to see. It's not often that you get to see some of those older Pinot Blanc vines in the area. It's higher elevation, so it still has that cool climate feel to it, even though it's from a warmer region than the Willamette Valley. It's barrel fermented, it's lees aged, lees stirred, mostly neutral barrels, very little new oak. Yeah, meant to be a fun white wine with a little bit more character, a little bit more texture, influence, ageability.
And how would you describe the style of this Pinot Blanc? I mean, I know those of us who love wine, we like to compare Alsace with Northern Italy, Germany, Austria. How would you describe the style of this Pinot Blanc?
A lot of the Pinot Blancs from Alsace I've had do have some sugar in it, which I think is respectably so because of the acid-driven style that they are. This is a fully dry style. It is barrel fermented. So looking for a bit more modesty, a bit more texture, secondary characters. There's plenty of fruit influence, peach and pear and lemon curd. Yeah, something that you can also enjoy with a meal.
Absolutely. Now, listeners, if you are getting thirsty, I have some very good news for you. Erath is offering a special 3-pack at erath.com/thefourtop. You spell that out, the fourtop. Enter the promo code FOURTOP, that's FOURTOP, to receive a 15% discount through December 31st, 2022. That is good for bottle purchases as well as the 4-Top 3-pack, which is a beautiful 3-pack of this very Pinot Blanc that we're tasting right now, the Quail Run Pinot Blanc. It also includes the Resplendent Pinot Noir 2019 and the Single Vineyard Knight's Gambit Pinot Noir 2019. All right, well, we will hear more from Leah in upcoming episodes, and I cannot wait to continue this conversation. But for now, back to the show. So back to our discussion. I think when we left off, Isis was talking about demographics. I want to dig into that a little more and kind of talk about how TikTok can help wineries and wine businesses. I mean, so few of them have gotten into TikTok, have even explored this medium where it appears you have to be a talented actor and filmmaker, which both of our guests today are. But I know that both of you, when you talk about a wine on TikTok, you have had some pretty dramatic results from wineries who've contacted you and said, I've sold out of my wine just because you mentioned it. And Amanda, I think I saw a San Francisco Chronicle article about this, actually.
Yeah, this has been a really surprising thing for me. I think when I jumped on TikTok, and I think Isis, you've been on TikTok much longer than I have. But when I started on TikTok, I really didn't know what to expect. I certainly didn't think it was a platform that could support actual wine buying. I kind of, very wrongly assumed I was dealing with a demographic that might only be interested in buying, $10 to $15 wines. They weren't really super interested in learning about wine, and I was really surprised to find that people actually were really excited to learn about wine. And so as I started creating these educational videos, I really steered away from recommending actual wines. And then one day I did. And one day it was a really silly video. And there was a trending thing that was happening where you put a whole bunch of text on a screen because it was sort of tricking the algorithm into getting people to watch the same video over and over again. You made it like 10 to 15 seconds and put the text so that it took longer to read than the video was. And so you had all these videos that were going super viral, and I was like, I'll just try it out. So I had the video behind the text, which was just me opening a bottle of Massican Sauvignon Blanc. And I had the text and screen. It was like something to the effect of, this is my favorite Sauvignon Blanc. I poured this by the glass, blah, blah, blah. It was all, a little bit of information. And the video went freaking viral. So much so that Dan Petrosky texts me and he's like, what the heck is going on? My mailing list is blowing up. Things are going crazy. I don't even have this Sauvignon Blanc to sell, and yet people are buying wine. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And this is a $35 bottle of Sauvignon Blanc. This is not an inexpensive Sauvignon Blanc. And I said, that's insane. How cool. So the next week he said, hey, just, I think this is a really interesting story. I think I might mention it to a few people to see if this is of interest. Anyway, a week goes by and I post another video, and it was like, and if you love this, try that. And I did it with some higher end wines. If you love Caymus, try this other wine by a member of their winemaking team. If you love, if you want to try Harlan, try the Mascot. Anyway, so I do all this, and same thing happens. Duhigg, which is the wine that I had recommended adjacent to Caymus, her mailing list blows up to like 900 signups, tons of sales, insane. And it really proved, and this was a $125 bottle of Cabernet from Napa Valley. So, what it said to me was, I think, people are willing to spend money on wine, and I think they just need to be directed on how to do it. And they want a trust agent or someone there to help guide them to make that purchase. And so going back to demographics, I think one of the really interesting things about TikTok, and I don't know if Isis, this is your experience, but my demographics are 75% female to 25% male, which is fascinating to me.
How I was able to really, I guess, monitor the success rate of influencing people to go out was actually through my live tastings. I would tell people, hey, this is the wine I'm going to taste, and just ask how many people have the wines, that we're going to feature tonight, and how many people will be in the comments saying they have the wines and they went out and purchased. I didn't know that people would actually go out and buy the wine so that they could taste along with me. And this is something that I think we should talk about, as far as why aren't there a lot of wineries on TikTok? Well, technically it's illegal for them to be on, which is why they go to Amanda and me and other wine influencers who are on TikTok, because there has to be a certain percentage of age drinkers for them to technically have accounts and to promote alcohol on social media. So on, I think it's like 83%, which is something that people don't know. So they have to utilize us in order to kind of push. But, seeing the success of Amanda, seeing the success of me, it actually, I think, is a better return than them trying to, just sell wine, because it's not really going to work, if that makes sense.
Okay, so just to make sure I understand. So TikTok still, the users are still young enough that wine brands or alcohol brands can't even have official accounts. Is that right?
My understanding was that the community guidelines are such that they just can't sell and or market to minors. So like as a winery, you can have an account, you just can't sell your wine. You can show experiences, you can show, food and wine, do educational stuff, but you can't actually like market your wine.
Well, and I'm sure their legal advisors have
I'm
told them to
sure.
stay away as well, because
I'm
there's so many things wineries can be sued for. I mean, just from your website accessibility to all the dangers of sending people on driving tours of alcohol regions, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. Yeah.
So you mentioned that perhaps a winery could sponsor someone like you, Isis, or Amanda. Isis, if I wanted you to make a video about my wine, maybe I want to have Suzanne taste my wine. How do I do that? I mean, do I pay for that? I don't even know how this works. Tell us how it works.
A lot of people are asking that question now, I'm sure. Thank you for asking.
Okay, so you're getting a little sticky because
I want Suzanne. I want her to represent everything I do.
So, I mean, for me, I do have a full process. If any winery wants to work with me on any social media platform, number one, I'm just going to say it for anyone who is curious about my process. I do require all wineries to submit their wines to me. I don't like to trash talk wines if I can help it. So I want to taste it before I make any video so I can tell you if I approve or not. Number one. But outside of that, it depends on the collaboration. If you are paying me just to, taste the wine, sure, but I still have to be careful. A lot of my collaborations are actually through Instagram. Just from the previous conversation we were just having, most of the wineries pay to collaborate with me on Instagram, and they ask, can you share it on TikTok, just so that the actual collaboration is safe. Because TikTok is still so fresh and new based off of the same conversation we're just having.
That's it. Just to be clear, that's a verbiage thing that that's like your own like CYA thing.
Yes.
Wait, what does CYA mean?
Cover your ass.
Okay, no one wants to get in trouble. So that's typically how it's done for me. But then there are wineries that I work with that they're just like, hey, we just really want you to taste our wines. And if I taste it and I really enjoy it, I will make a video and share it with my followers.
And no payment is exchanged. You just enjoy the wine.
Sometimes.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. Now, Amanda, I think I heard or read that you don't actually drink wine on TikTok. You don't taste it because you've had videos taken down before. Is that right?
No, I've never had a video taken down for drinking on camera. I will talk about what I have taken down for, which is kind of a funny story. But I won't. So one of the things that I found is that I really try, as much as I talk about wine and I educate about wine, one of the things that I try not to do is have any sort of actual drinking in the videos, because I think it sort of tempts the TikTok gods into potentially flagging it as adult content. So I just, it's always the hint of drinking. So it's maybe there's a bottle in the shot and maybe there's wine in my glass, but you'll never see me. I'll cut from when I go to lift that glass to my mouth to like bringing it back down. You'll never actually see me drinking on camera in a recorded video.
You actually have to be more careful on Instagram than you do on TikTok, because on Instagram, I have videos where I did not drink the wine. It was in my hand and it was flagged.
But did you try to promote it or was it just flagged?
It was just flagged.
Interesting.
And when I tried to rectify it, they were like, it's against guidelines. And there was one video, it was Donald Patz and I, and we were talking about Chardonnay. And both of us, we didn't drink at all. We just had the wine on the table and in our hands. And it was flagged and taken down.
I've never had that happen on Instagram. That's so interesting. Yeah. I mean, like, these are the things that are very much out of our control where, you just have to be as careful as possible. And I think, like, as a creator, do the best you can, knowing that, at some point you might have a video that gets flagged and taken down. I had one video flagged, and it didn't even cross my mind that it would get flagged for this, but it's so obvious now. I had a brand send me this sparkling wine. They're out of Napa. It's a sparkling wine out of a, we'll just call it a phallic shaped bottle. It's like specific to bridal showers, right? I think we all infer with that maybe, or bachelorette
That's
parties.
hilarious.
Yes. And it's like, it's pretty, it's big, and it's very realistic looking. Anyway, I had that flagged for adult content because it looked like a giant penis was in my video.
Okay,
so that
for
was
those of us who don't know what you're referencing, I think you're going to have to explain.
okay.
said it.
So
What is this brand?
So it's, oh God, it's called Just the Tipsy.
Ooh, I love it.
So aptly named. It's called Just the Tipsy. I should give them a nice shout out because actually the sparkling was pretty good. But
and
it comes
was good.
It was
oh
good.
my gosh, I
and
need
it comes. It's a okay. She's
Googling
thirsty.
it as you speak.
So it's called Just the Tipsy. It is a penis shaped bottle. You know, it's the whole thing. The whole package is there. It's kind of frosted. It's very thick glass, and it is like it's a big size bottle. And it's got pink bubbles in there, and so it flagged it as adult content.
By the way, I just Googled that, and I want to unsee it. I just.
You can't unsee it. It's
so wrong.
It's yeah, but you know what? I appreciate that. Like, you know, people you know, I'm a fan of getting wine in the glass, right? By any means necessary. Like, however I can remove the vodka tonic from your hand and put in something that's fermented grape juice, I'm a fan of doing. So if it is through a penis shaped bottle, how many times can I see penis on your podcast? This is really becoming a thing now. If that's the way that we have to do it, so be it.
I think it's adorable. I like it.
Martin, you got to get in here and say something.
Yeah, he's like, you're too quiet. What's going on over there?
I've just been enjoying this conversation.
This is hilarious.
This is what happens when you bring two TikTokers on your podcast.
Right. Come on now.
But no, I mean, I think TikTok is a really fun platform, Martine. So you should jump over there. There's some good dad jokes happening there too.
I love the dad jokes on TikTok.
Me too.
Speaking of demographics and everything, I think that we all think about how millennials, and we talk about how they're not really drinking enough wine, you know, and I'm just thinking, can TikTok and wine, can they turn this around?
Millennials want to drink wine. What they don't want is to be had. And what I mean by that is millennials don't want to go out and spend money on things that make them look stupid. Nobody wants to buy things that make them look stupid. But I think millennials are especially sensitive to that because they don't want to buy what their parents drank, and they don't want to buy something just because, you know, that's always been the case. They want a good story. They want to know why. They want all the reasons behind it. They want help in making those buying decisions. And I think the more content like Isis and mine, and you know, there's some other great wine TikTokers out there, the more that we can offer in terms of what to buy and why, the more we're going to see success with millennials drinking wine. I don't think it's a function of they want to drink White Claw. It just is the easier choice that, you know, doesn't, and it's also not a price thing. I think people think, you know, wine's very expensive, and it is expensive. But I think people are willing to spend money on wine if they feel like the value is there.
And I will also say that we really don't give millennials the credit that we deserve. As of right now, the highest demographic drinking wine are millennials. They are people in their 30s. Okay. We are not kids anymore. I know it's so easy to kind of classify us as younger, but we are in our 30s and 40s, and we are drinking wine. Overall, when we watch the stats of how many millennials are drinking wine as a whole, comparing it to the generations before us, it is lower. But overall, just as in the United States of America, just start there, right? We're drinking less because overall people are drinking less alcohol, not just wine. So there's a lot that goes into this conversation that we don't have. We have to have the full conversation, I think, is necessary. But TikTok, I do believe, is helping that, because TikTok, everyone wants to learn. I think when I look at my followers, everyone is just eager to learn more and more about wine. When they come into my live, shout out to every person that joins my live tastings. They are eager. They have questions. They want to know what recommendations you have. They want to grow their palate. They're interested in trying something outside of their norm. I mean, we're there.
They're so appreciative.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
They are so grateful to have someone speaking to them, speaking their language, offering some information. And I think, you know, the other thing that like I will say on TikTok that I don't really see on Instagram so much is like there is a huge diversity of wine TikTokers. Like I think we are pretty well represented on that app right now. And that there's someone for everyone there. Like, you know, I think that speaks to what TikTok is, which is just, you know, it's this place to showcase authenticity and creativity. And you don't have to be your stereotypical whatever on Instagram, posing, taking beautiful bottle shots. You can be your authentic self, truly. And I mean, I know that's super cliche to say, but like it is the platform where in order to succeed, you have to be your authentic self or some version of your authentic self where you're offering information in a way or value in a way that feels uninhibited in some ways.
Because go back to the original videos on TikTok. It's always been, or at least compare it to the beginning of 2020. We wanted something real. That was one of the only platforms where you could be yourself and not have on makeup and be goofy and dance and look crazy or not look crazy and just talk to your people. So I think that's one of the main reasons why I love TikTok is because, you know, Instagram, I feel like I have to put on makeup. I have to try. And on TikTok, I can just be me and talk to you and you understand what the purpose is. I'm here to talk about wine, to talk about wine education, and to help you just get intrigued to come on this side of the fence and enjoy wine.
So now's the time when we wrap up the show with our little dessert wine course where we each share something we've been enjoying lately.
Absolutely. I have my classic pairing that I always go to and absolutely love. A late harvest Riesling with a key lime pie it's always the move for me.
Ooh, I have never tried those two together. That sounds delicious.
It's amazing.
So I interestingly on TikTok was inspired this move. I had been getting a lot of requests for wines from the Finger Lakes. And so I grabbed a 2016 Red Newt Riesling from the Finger Lakes.
I love Red Newt.
Oh my God. It was lights out, so good, made me believe in wine in a way that I didn't know that I believed in wine. And it was like, it was Thai food and it made me cry. I mean, truly, I had like tears in my eyes because it was so beautiful.
I wanted to give a shout out to one of the coolest, most awesomest, bestest, quaint little downtown neighborhoods in the Bay Area, which for most people you've heard of, but maybe you haven't gone to. And I recently moved to the water's edge of Benicia. Benicia downtown is so freaking cool, I have to tell you. Now, if you're a local from there, apparently you pronounce it Benicia. So I have to, you know, go to battle about how to actually pronounce it. But the shops there, the restaurants, the view, the peace and the quiet. There's even little corner beaches that you can actually, tiny little beaches that are just completely hidden, little nooks and crannies, little trails for your dog or for, you know, a romantic walk along the edge with a view of the Carquinez Bridge and the, you know, San Pablo Bay. So
I love it.
You know, that's my new hometown, and I live right next door there to the downtown strip, which I invite you all to come over and have a glass of wine on the patio with me.
Just these last couple of weeks, I have weirdly gotten into old classic film. And so I just recently subscribed to the Criterion Collection.
Yes.
So I'm just turning into a really old person. And this week I've been watching the Thin Man series, which are these very fun comedies from the late 1930s and early 1940s. And it's been so fun to see how they represent beverage, how they represent alcohol. I mean, first of all, these people drink all the time. That's all they do. Whatever happens, you know, if there's any kind of crisis, everyone says, I need a drink. Let's pour a drink. And then they serve cocktails in tiny glasses on trays. And so they'll like pour like 12 cocktails in 12 tiny glasses and then pass the tray around. It's just so interesting because it's just kind of like a different relationship than that we have now. And we just assume that, you know, that culture doesn't change that much, but it's just been really fun to kind of watch how beverages are consumed. Not much wine. I think I saw champagne in one scene. And then the main character just seems to be pouring tall glasses of vodka, like in every scene, as far as I can tell.
Wow.
So anyway, check out the Criterion Collection.
Noted. Yeah. What fun. I hope you have like plenty of like martinis or something on hand for that. That just seems like such a like grab my robe and a martini and like sit and enjoy the Criterion Collection.
I know. I really need a satin robe now. At any rate, thank you so much to our amazing panelists. You guys were so informative. I learned so much. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for having us, honestly.
Thank you.
So, Martine, that was a really fun episode, but I noticed you got a little quiet when we were talking about the phallic wine bottles. I actually don't blame you.
I didn't say much because, my humor these days, it's G-rated dad puns, so I'm kind of out of my element there. Although part of me did wonder if Just the Tipsy wines had a special, like a buy two, get one free. That's what I'd call a package deal.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, thank you to our amazing guests. You can find Isis Daniel online at themillennialpsalm.com.
And you can find Amanda McCrossin online at amandamccrossin.com. MCCROSSIN.com. And you can find me, Martin Reyes, at reyeswinegroup.com, napathrives.org, and winewise.biz. It's my new importer company that I run with Hiram.
Very cool. And you can find me, Catherine Cole, at catherinecole.com, or even better, go to theforetop.org, where you can find our social media handles, and we would love to hear what you think about wine talk. Signing out here from the high-fiber, protein-packed city of Portland, Oregon.
And signing out from the Napa Valley. Thanks so much for listening. Bye-bye now.
This has been the Four Top Podcast. Catherine Cole is our executive producer. Izzy Kramer is our senior producer, and I'm Keelan King, sound supervisor. We are also assisted by audio editor Michelle Richards, editorial assistant Nick Toole, and media assistant Ruby Welkovich. Please visit our website, theforetop.org, to learn more about us, listen to back episodes, reach out to us on social media, and purchase books written by our amazing panelists. And if you have not already subscribed to The Four Top on iTunes or Spotify, please do so and leave us a rating. Stay safe out there, and thanks for listening.